All right, go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to repeat the introduction for each segment because it's a new segment and some new folks have showed up. Welcome to the Facebook Live event featuring the Anchor Bay Chamber of Commerce Meet the Candidates Forum. My name is John McKenzie. I will be moderating this event. I am a board member with the Anchor Bay Chamber of Commerce and an ambassador as well. The Anchor Bay Chamber of Commerce does not specifically endorse any candidate appearing this evening. The views and opinions of the candidates are not necessarily the views of the Chamber. Tonight we'll be hosting 3 sessions for elections affecting the city of Algonac and Clay Township. Our second session is covering Clay Township elections. The session is for Township Supervisor. We have 2 candidates running for 1 seat. Each candidate will be given a 3-minute introduction and an opening statement. Each candidate will then be asked 3 questions relevant to the community and allowed 2 minutes to respond. At the end of the session, each candidate will be permitted to give a 1-minute summary of their position. The sequence for opening remarks will start in alphabetical order and rotate from there. We have with us tonight incumbent Artie Bryson to my left, who is running as a write-in candidate and opponent to Paul Cassidy to my right. Going in alphabetical order by last name and rotating so each candidate has the opportunity to go first. Mr. Bryson, you have 3 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you, John, and Anchor Bay Chamber of Commerce, and Jake's Bump and Run event too. It's going to be a great event. First, I'd just like to say I'm a proud graduate of the Algonac High School, go Rats, and I have 2 business degrees from Michigan State and a computer science degree from Florida Tech. I've been the Township Supervisor for 12 years, and in that 12 years I've proved that we deliver results. And how we do that, we get it funded from outside money. In the 12 years I've been supervisor, we received $20 million in grants. 12 of those million are in the last 4 years. With that money, we rejuvenated parks, bike paths, critical infrastructure like water, sewer, roads, and habitat restoration. Under my leadership, we repaved 13 roads, replaced 8 bridges and large culverts in the township without a road tax. There's only 2 other municipalities in the county that does not have a road tax, and we got that much done with no tax. And so everyone's how do you get that stuff done? And the grants is from outstanding relationships with agencies that I created and my team has created. At the federal level, EPA, work with them all the time. Department of Agriculture, Department of Transportation, Gary Peters' office, and Lisa McLean's office, first name basis with all their staffers. Homeland Security. At the state level, all our state reps and their staffers I work well with. I caused to have 2 bills pass into legislation, into law, in the last 4 years, 2 of them, and we have another one coming here real soon for to change the law so we can have a DDA in Harson's Island. With the state too, I also have ongoing projects and communications with the DNR and Eagle, and I know how to talk with them and resolve issues. County level, I'm great with everyone, the road commission, parks and rec, metro planning, whatever needs to be done, parks and all that. Clay Township boasts the lowest tax in the county for operations. And we do maintain a AAA plus bond rating, and we have clean audits. There's only 17 other townships in the state that has AAA plus bond rating, and out of 1,000 townships, that is. Thank you.
Thank you, Artie. Mr. Cassidy, you have 3 minutes for your opening remarks.
Thank you. I think most of you know I'm Paul Cassidy. I'm the Republican candidate for supervisor. Mr. Galka's Republican candidate. Mr. Galka is the Republican candidate for treasurer. Ms. Hogan is the Republican candidate for clerk. The reason why we are the Republican candidates is we defeated these people that are now running as write-in candidates in the primary. So they're not Republicans, they're not Democrats, they're not independents. So who are they running for? I can't help but say that they're running for themselves. Now, I got into this campaign because that kind of became apparent to me as I watched them conduct business at the Township Hall. I was left with the impression that these people are just working for themselves, their family, their friends, and that's it. And that is what caused me to be a candidate. Now, what caused me to believe that is that they pay themselves more than our state rep and state senator make. They pay themselves an $80,000 a year bonus. Now, I know they say that's a lie, and I'll explain that. They pay themselves 11.5% pay raise. They pay their health care deductibles with township money. If they have a deductible, the clerk had a deductible, they paid $5,000 for her deductible. This is what has caused me to run. You know, I see these signs out there, and they say, save Clay Township. And I've been asking people, what are they saving Clay Township from? And nobody knows. And so I would just say this. If elected, there will be no $40,000 a year bonuses. There won't be any 11.5% raises for elected officials. There won't be people paying their deductibles for them. The board will pay it. The people will have to pay it themselves. I would calculate that probably we would save the township $800,000 if the primary candidates were elected. Now, that's because we would immediately do away with $120,000 in bonuses, and we would immediately do away with benefits for myself and Mr. Galka. The bonuses would be eliminated. Now, they say that's a lie. They don't receive a bonus. But here's the thing. They got, the supervisor has two duties: chief assessing officer and to chair public meetings. He chairs 2 public meetings a month. He pays himself $44,000 for that. And I guess I have to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Each candidate will have an opportunity to answer 3 questions provided by the chamber. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the question. Mr. Cassidy, you'll be up first. The first question is, as supervisor for Clay Township, what do you feel are the most important services the township can offer to the residents, and how will you provide that service?
Well, the most important services are fire and police. And I believe we have a good police department. I know a lot of the officers, and that's got to continue. We have a good fire department, and that has to continue. There has to be other services, though, that we have to think about. One of them is, and I know this is a touchy subject with Mr. Bryson, but the ferry rates have to come down. And the only way I know to do that is to start a competitive ferry. And then services to and from that island will be better. And that island can grow again. The economy is just terribly depressed. They've lost a lot of business. You can't live as a resident on the island anymore and travel that ferry every day. It's just too expensive. So I think that those are things that have to be looked at, and you know, I would continue doing as we have. We have a good police department. We have a good fire department.
Thank you. Mr. Bryson, as supervisor for Clay Township, what do you feel are the most important services the township can offer to the residents, and how will you provide that service?
Thanks, John. Well, everybody wants strong police, fire, and infrastructure, water, sewer, and garbage. To that point, Parks and Rec activities, extracurricular activities like that are very important for people to get people out and bring people outside into our community. We're improving our infrastructure big time through a lot through grants. This next month we're going to be relining our sewer interceptor that will be beneficial to all of us. Harson's Island has a problem with septics. I came up with a very creative idea to do an algae treatment plant, paid for 100% by grants. 100%. That's going to not only improve our environment big time, it's going to improve the business of Sans Souci area and Harson's Island. As far as Paul says, the ferry, yeah, they do need some help, but the way to do it is to work with the current ferry and not start a new one. And that's the roadmap for all around Michigan, for all the other ferries or subsidies. They always worked with the existing ferry. They never once started a new ferry. And how's he going to start a new government-owned ferry? With your tax money. The government has to own it. There are no grants available for a new ferry. There's lots of other things I could think of. We really got to kill Phragmites and rejuvenate St. John's Marsh. I've been working very, very hard on that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the second question. Mr. Bryson will go first this time. What do you feel is the biggest challenge facing the township, and what do you propose to do to overcome it?
There's a few challenges. I just mentioned one, Phragmites. Phragmites cover 15% of our township's property. And there's several ways to handle it that we're looking into. I'm working very hard with DNR and Eagle. We're looking at an experimental moth that will actually kill it. Other than spraying, we're looking at wild rice to block it and that sort of thing. Another issue is Eagle. Eagle has an overreach on what they're doing to our township. They have stopped people from building, putting in seawalls, and everything else. I'm all for environmental safety, but when they don't let someone put in a steel seawall on a canal, it's ludicrous. And they make you put rocks on and turtle ramps. They have us to a different standard. They're holding us to a standard that is equal to or the same standard as inland lakes. And I told the head director of Eagle, we're not an inland lake. We have current, we have flow, we're a great lake. And I'm hoping that we get that changed. I've been working on that. So Eagle's been a problem with us. And we're working on their South Water Treatment Plant, installing capacity. They already hired an engineer and looking at doing a $3 million holding tank when we do have a high flows situation. And like I said, we have plans to replace and reline all our sewer systems. That would be done within 2 years if I'm reelected. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cassidy, what is the biggest challenge facing Clay Township, and what do you propose to do to overcome it?
Actually, I think that the ferry system is the biggest problem. And I believe that the way to overcome it is with a public ferry, because there are millions of dollars in federal grants, state grants, available to start a ferry system. The day after Mr. Bryson published that there is no funding for ferries, the articles were published in the newspapers up in Huron County and up in Mackinac area, that $25 million was given to those two ferry systems. There is funding available. It doesn't have to come from our tax dollars. Because of the cost of the ferry, it depresses the entire island. People can't live and raise their kids there, as I've said. And businesses have closed. Those were, the Harson's Island could be a destination for a lot of people. A lower ferry rate would join the mainland with the island. Right now, I've talked to many people who says, I don't go over there, it's just cost too much. So that is a big challenge in the township. We can talk about Eagle. Eagle is a tough government to deal with. That department is extremely draconian. For everybody all over the state of Michigan, they think all the property in the state of Michigan belongs to them. So they are very tough on people. But that doesn't mean that you can't accomplish things like doing the infrastructure. That's going to be a problem. And that has to be looked at presently for the future. And I guess my time's up.
Thank you. Move on to the third and final question. Mr. Cassidy, you'll be up first. Clay Township is a small town, so community involvement is important. What will you do to stay involved, and what local civic groups will you support?
Well, I don't think you have to be active in every civic group to support them. And, you know, you can if you want, but I think the most important role of your supervisor is to get the job done. Now, Mr. Bryson claims he gets the job done. I don't think he does, and I think he does it at the highest dollar out there. But I think your supervisor and the other elected officials should participate in public functions, but I don't think they have to join everything to be a legitimate public servant. And that's about it.
Thank you. Mr. Bryson. Okay. Mr. Bryson, what will you do to stay involved? And what local civic groups will you support?
Thanks for the question. For me, I was heavily involved before I was supervisor in community efforts. And I think to lead any community, you have to have your ear to the ground. You have to know and anticipate what the community wants and needs. Just for instance, this past year, I helped out creating a new outdoor classroom for the Millside Elementary School. I help with food giveaways, with different church activities and events. You have to be involved with the community, and so they can talk to you and ask questions and tell them what their needs are. There is no other way around it. You just can't sit in your office and buy a few lottery tickets or 50-50 tickets for people. You have to be quite involved. I'm involved with the Algonac Rotary. I go to a lot of Lions Club meetings for Algonac and Pearl Beach. I'm involved in several church groups. We do a lot in this town. And you have to be out and about in the community and be grounded so you can anticipate what the future needs are. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to closing statements. Mr. Bryson, you will go first. You have 1 minute.
I'd just like to thank everybody, and other than Mr. Cassidy thinks, we do get results. You can look around this township and see a big difference from 10 years ago, 12 years ago. He thinks the biggest problem is the ferry. Well, only a third of the people live on the island, and there are solutions for the ferry. And like I said, the grants he talked about are grants for existing ferries, not for new ferry companies. They replaced existing ferries. He hired a grant writer while he was on HIDA. Paid her $5,000 a month, 60 grand a year for a grant writer. I don't get paid for grant writers. His grant writer got zero money in return. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. You have 1 minute for closing.
Well, Mr. Bryson, like a lot of politicians, like to claim success for things they didn't do. I'll give you an example of that is the algae plant that he claims that he's gotten for the island. That was Mr. Hertel that did that. It was his idea based upon a request from the people that own San Souci. Mr. Bryson got involved and in fact has delayed the project substantially. You know, he wants to say there's no federal funding, state funding for a ferry that doesn't exist. And I can tell you something. He will never, as supervisor, do anything to change that. I mean, he'd like to tell you about the bills he passed, but he fails to mention how he and his family got Dan lawyers to pass a bill giving the champions a monopoly.
Gave you money too, I don't.
They gave Champions Auto Ferry a monopoly, and that has suppressed all business on the island. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy. We'd like to thank the candidates for being here and wish them well in the election. The next topic, or next item on the agenda is the Clay Township Clerk.